Can't believe I'm saying this, but Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Scamelot, is selling matches? She's selling Matchsticks. Okay, she's not doing a clothing line, she's not doing homeware. She is going to sell matches. Apparently these are luxury matches.
Meghan Markle's obnoxious hypocrisy has just been exposed as she tells Prince Harry, finally, get a job. Do you remember that old song? Get a haircut, get a job. I guess for Harry it might be get a hair transplant and get a job.
I tried so hard. Did you like it?
I'm almost speechless.
Oh man, it's so funny, Dan. It's so funny.
On the 28th of May, 3 little words went up on the brand's page. A small spark arriving tomorrow. And the next morning, there it was, a box of matches. The newest product from Meghan's lifestyle label, as ever. The catch, and it is quite the catch, is that those matches exist to light her candles. And her candles, by more than one account, arrived with no wick in them at all.
I received a Meghan Markle wickless candle. And so I have to ask, what am I supposed to light? What am I going to light because I have no wick? Okay, kind of like Prince Harry these days, the wick is missing. I have no wick, I'm wickless, and she's witless.
You couldn't make it up. The brand called it limited edition matches, as though a queue were forming around the block, and only the lucky few would walk away with a box of the sort of thing you can buy in any corner shop for under £1. You could only get them free, mind, tucked inside a candle bundle. And the grandest of those bundles, the 4-candle signature scent collection, sells for $256, roughly £190, for 4 candles and the matches to light them.
Of course, that was the year 2016 that she started dating Prince Harry. 10 years on, her critics pointed out that she is currently selling her own scented candle set for more than double the $100 price tag she dismissed as obnoxious. Yes, it's the $256 signature scent collection. But all of this is desperate, isn't it?
And here's the photograph they chose to sell it with. Not one that slipped out by accident. The one a team approved and posted on purpose. A candle that has burned straight down the middle into a sad little tunnel, with one spent blackened match lying on top of a cardboard box full of fresh ones. A used match on a box of matches sitting on the unused matches. It is, when you stand back from it, a bit like selling the matching gloves for a coat that turned up without any sleeves. The comments split clean in two. Half the room asked, fairly enough, whether the whole thing was some sort of joke. The other half went straight for the obvious gag. Since the As Ever candles keep turning up without wicks, they said the matching As Ever matches must come with the tips. A complete set at last. You have to laugh. The only other option is to sit quietly and mourn the £190.
Plus, a limited edition matchbox you can only get by buying the bundle. £190 in the UK, $256 in the US. The candles are tunneling, so the wax burns down the center of the candle instead of across the whole surface, which is what happens when you use cheap paraffin instead of soy or beeswax. One critic on the record in the British press put it plainly: that's because she's using very cheap and toxic paraffin wax. Cheap and toxic.
So that is where we have landed. A woman who left a palace, who had Netflix and Spotify and a book deal and a documentary and the undivided attention of the entire world. And she is now selling you matches. Not even matches with good odds. Matches for candles you may not be able to light.
You are not going to believe what happened when I opened the box, when I got back. There's no wick again! No way to light this thing.
Did you like it?
Seriously, look. It comes out just like that, and literally no wick.
How can this happen when we only made 100 candles?
One promise before we go on, because it is the bit you will be repeating to people later. The candle she named after her own wedding day hides a detail that makes this whole launch worse than it already looks. We will get there. Stay with me.
Imagine Meghan Markle. She comes running downstairs in the Montecito mansion in her jean booty shorts, and she goes, Harry, I've got a brilliant idea how we're gonna get rich. I'm going to sell matches. I am going to sell matchsticks. And then she runs off through the house, and Harry sits there and he goes, I must be really bloody high. Or did my wife just tell me she's selling matchsticks? Matchsticks? Or was it fish sticks? I don't know. So then Prince Harry, he goes over to the phone. Prince Harry, he picks up the phone. Bling, bling, bling. William, I've made a terrible mistake, my brother. She is selling matches. I'm coming home.
That was the verdict of a buyer who filmed himself opening one of the $64 candles last November. He turned the glass over, looked inside, tilted it to the light, and there was nothing there. No wick, no little white thread sitting up, waiting for a flame. A luxury candle bought and paid for in full, with the one part that makes it a candle simply gone.
Are you serious?
Is that the thing?
There's no wick. I've had 2 people tell me that there was no wick when they ordered a candle.
There's literally no wick.
Are you kidding?
I have an empty wick list. How do I light it? I literally just noticed that. I just pulled it out. There is a hole in my Meghan Markle candle.
Now, before anyone says you cannot judge a whole brand on a single dud that got lost in the post, hold on a moment, because it was not a single dud. A second well-known critic said the candle he received turned up the very same way. Wickless. We will be fair about his mind. His came through a third-party seller who swore it had a wick when it left them. So we set that one gently to one side and leaned no weight on it. But the fault people kept circling back to was a different one, the tunneling. That is the ring of wax you can see sinking down the middle of the glass, leaving a deep little well around where the flame is meant to sit. Anybody who has ever poured a candle will tell you why it happens. Either the wick is too small for the jar, or the wax blend is wrong.
The wax has been described publicly as cheap and toxic. The candles are also tunneling, which means the wax burns straight down the middle like a sad little whale or Harry's soul, instead of melting evenly across the top. So anyone who has ever bought a $15 candle from Target knows that's the sign of a bad pour.
In plain kitchen terms, it is the calling card of a cheap pour, not a luxury one. A cheap one dressed up in heavy glass and a serious font. Some online decided the wax itself looked cheap, even a touch toxic. We will leave that one well alone because the brand has never published an ingredient list, so it stays firmly in the unproven pile. But the mood you could have measured with a ruler. The wags christened her the Temu Duchess. The label that stuck to the whole enterprise was Scam Jam, and before the lawyers reach for the telephone, that is a verdict on the marketing, not anything a court would ever sign. It is simply what people type when they feel they have been had.
Meghan over the weekend was promoting her new jams. Apparently everyone in her family likes a different jam. Are you ready to hear about it?
Everyone in my family has a different favorite. My husband loves the raspberry, Lily loves the strawberry. Arch loves both, and I like the mango.
Aww, Arch loves both. I thought I had a story to tell you, but then I kind of changed my mind because I realized he likes them both. Anyway, apparently she's lying about this and everything else because it's all just to sell products. And again, she's in her fake kitchen as she's selling this stuff. She must have taped this a while back when she was taping her Netflix show, which is no longer there.
Here's the part that ought to sting though, and it really is a corker. The brand does not take returns, not one. So you hand over your 190 pounds, and if the thing that lands on your doorstep cannot be lit, well, that is your problem now, not theirs. No refund, no swap. A candle that may not be a candle, and a firm no at the till if it isn't. And now, on top of every bit of it, they would dearly love to sell you the matches.
Now, what I find so ridiculous about this woman was British royalty. Okay, British royalty, and now she's selling little pieces of wood that you use to light candles. Think about it. She is selling little tiny pieces of wood and trying to turn a buck, trying to make a quick profit. I mean, the Kardashians wouldn't even sell matches.
To understand the matches, you really have to go back to the jam, because none of this is new. The wheels did not just come off this week. They have been wobbling since the very first product rolled out of Montecito. The whole thing began life under a different name entirely, American Riviera Orchard. A bit of a mouthful that, and the United States Trademark Office rather agreed in its own quiet way. The office knocked the name back on the grounds that it was little more than a description of a place you could point to on a map. There was even a grumble from a well-known fruit and gift company, whose own long-standing name sat a touch too close for comfort. So the grand lifestyle empire fell at the very first hurdle.
I was shocked, Dan. Like when I first initially saw this post on X about it, I was like, no, there's just no way. Because there's so much misinformation out there about Harry and Meghan in some ways. But then I was actually putting the numbers in and you're getting stock counts. And I'm like, you should never, ever see that on a website. And in case, unless they have like 1 or 2 left, they will let you know that. But to have potentially 135, 37,000 fruit spreads sitting out there is astronomically bad.
The name above the door. Back to the drawing board then. Out went American Riviera Orchard. In came as ever. Cleaner, vaguer, harder to argue with, and harder to remember. And then the first big push. Jam. Strawberry jam, to be precise, sent out in little jars, around 50 of them, to a carefully chosen list of famous friends and useful names. The plan, presumably, was a flurry of glossy posts, celebrities cradling the jar, followers rushing to buy, a tasteful little stampede. What arrived instead was the sound of crickets. A great many of those jars, by all accounts, were never seen again, never photographed, never posted, never so much as mentioned by the famous friends who had received them.
She clearly has no one advising her career. All of her publicists, all of her communications people, they've probably flown the coop. And she's left, look at these videos. She's left here filming sultry jam advertisements. I've never seen someone try harder to make jam and marmalade look sexy and have sex appeal, okay? But she has the feel of a lint roller, of a bar of soap.
You can almost picture the things, lined up in a row of famous fridges, quietly migrating to the back of the shelf, somewhere behind the mustard and a jar of capers nobody remembers buying. The launch that was meant to set the internet alight managed instead to vanish without a trace. And that was the moment the internet found its nickname, Scam Jam. Unkind, certainly, but the jam had set the tone, and the tone was this: a brand built less on a product anyone actually needed, and more on the firm assumption that the name on the label would carry the whole thing, that the famous friends would do the selling for her, that wanting very badly to be a lifestyle mogul was much the same thing as being one.
She needs to put herself out there. She's not even charging, and not because it's beneath her, it's because nobody wanted her, nobody wanted to pay her. She's not worth anything for anybody. In fact, she is a liability because there's a lot of backlash.
It is the exact same assumption running underneath the candles, and now underneath the matches. The quiet belief that the Duchess's name on a cardboard box can turn 90 pence of matches into a luxury that people will queue up for. Honestly, the sheer confidence of it is almost something to admire. Almost. So by the time we arrive at a wickless candle and a box of branded matches, this is not a surprise at all. This is the pattern, simply wearing a new outfit.
Royals don't really worry about money in a day-to-day manner in the same way that we do, because fundamentally their lives are paid for. They don't have to worry about paying the mortgage. They don't have to worry about paying the rent. They don't need to worry about having enough money on the credit card to top up the car with petrol. That is the privilege that comes with being a member of the monarchy, but as a result, they give up their life in return for public good. So Harry knows nothing about money. And Meghan has put him, Brittany, on this sort of emotional roller coaster, which is like, one moment she's saying, no, it hasn't worked. The commercial stuff hasn't worked, so don't worry. You go back to the charity stuff. And then that hasn't worked. And so now she's putting the pressure on again. I mean, he doesn't understand money, Brittany. He has never understood money. She should have known that.
Now, the detail I promised you. Settle in, because it is a good one. But first, rewind 10 years. 2016, a conference stage in Atlanta. A younger Meghan, lifestyle blog in hand, a point to prove, and a microphone. There are no $100 candles on my site, she told that room. That's so obnoxious. Her whole pitch back then was the aspirational girl next door. Things you could want and could also actually have. Nothing flashy, nothing, in her own chosen word, obnoxious. Attainable was the entire idea. And it was a clever idea because it was the precise opposite of everything people had come to resent about celebrity tat. No gatekeeping, no silly prices, just nice things within the reach of an ordinary woman at her kitchen table.
Markle.com. I don't want this to just be me. I want this to be a community much greater than that. So beyond bringing on writers or other people who want to share great content and who understand the voice of the site, which is like talking to a girlfriend and conversational and inspiring, I've always sort of crafted it like aspirational girl next door. Like, you can aspire for it, but you could totally attain it too. There are no $100 candles on my site. That's so obnoxious. I just want things that you can have. And so I want people who really understand that ethos and enjoy sort of the fun and frivolity of it all.
Oh yes, you're finally realizing what we think about you, Meghan. Totally obnoxious.
She knew exactly what she was selling, and she knew exactly who she was selling it to. So hold that word, obnoxious, up against the price tag today, $256 for the set, more than double the figures she once stood on a stage and called offensive. The girl next door has moved house. The new place has a gate, a guard, and a driveway you could land a small plane on. And here it is, the detail. One of those candles is called number 519, 519, the 19th of May, her wedding day. The marketing copy sells it as warm sunshine and blue skies. purpose. The joy and the ease of the morning she married Harry. The whole feeling of that day, bottled up so you can burn it at home for $64. Lovely.
But here it is, the new scented candle, which we have also on her website, $5.19, because, you know, it's the day they got married, May 19th. Our signature scent, modern and elegant. Love at first light. I see what she did there. Number 519 is the feeling of warm sunshine and blue skies, surrounded by love and laughter. This signature candle is inspired by the ease and joy of a day that holds Meghan's most cherished memories, her wedding day. May 19th, bright and refreshing, with quietly grounding notes of Moroccan mint, white tea leaves, and a back note of woodsy cardamom. Number 519 fills the room with a soothing, welcoming fragrance that remains our founder's tried and true favorite, housed in a beautiful ceramic vessel. Vessel.
There is just the one small snag. The palace recollections from that very week tell rather a different story about how the day actually smelled, because the word that went around at the time was musty. The chapel, it was said, smelled musty to her, stale. 500 years of history, and she found it a bit off. And she is said to have wanted staff walking the aisles with atomizers, little spritzer guns, spraying scent through St. George's Chapel before the guests arrived.
She's selling this candle on the website. She's peddling a massive lie at the center of her latest as ever launch, unveiling a $64 scented candle inspired by her wedding to Prince Harry. Even though she always complained, apparently reports say, she complained about the St. George Chapels smelling musty ahead of the ceremony. Apparently she wanted to spray air freshener all around venue before the guests arrived. So is this a candle that just reminds her of the scent of that air freshener or of the actual musty St. George Chapel?
Staff, the story goes, found the notion both unnecessary and a touch inappropriate for a building of that age and standing. In fairness to the place, the perfumer Diptyque later said it had scented the wedding, so it was not left entirely to its own devices. But the original tale stands, and it is quite the tale. So sit with the shape of it for a second. The wedding day candle, sold to you on the joy of the scent of the day, commemorates a chapel she reportedly wanted deodorized before she would walk into it. The woman who could not abide the smell of the place now bottles the smell of the place and sells it back to you. For $64 a pop, the cheek of it, honestly.
So actually what this means is that these products, and by the way, this candle, $64 from the Was Never website, $77.94 because we ordered it from eBay, is a dud. It's a cheap mess that you cannot light.
Look, here is where I lose all patience with the operation. This is not a streak of bad luck. It is a pattern. It has been the pattern since day one, and the most damning part of it is who keeps causing it. Take the money. Netflix, the great partner, the one that signed them in a blaze of headlines back in 2020, reportedly paid for the manufacturing of these very products. The shipping, the branding, they quietly underwrote the lot, and last summer the big overall deal shrank down to a first look arrangement, which, in plain English, is a polite little shuffle toward the exit. Then, this past March, Netflix walked away from the candle business altogether.
Netflix tied a lot of the money that they gave Harry and Meghan into the As Ever stock. Netflix said, okay, we're going to give you the money that's part of this lump deal, but a good chunk of it is going to go into developing your inventory. Well, Netflix did that. Now Meghan's stuck with the inventory that can't move, which means all their money that they were supposed to give for Netflix, or at least a good chunk of it, is tied up in her terrible products. And she is not good at marketing. She is not good at figuring out what actual consumers want. And so she's constantly stuck in this endless loop of failure, and she has no one to blame here but herself. At this point, I mean, As Ever, it looks like it's pretty much dead already.
And here's the detail that tells you everything you need to know. They were reportedly left handing the unsold stock, the teas, the baking mixes, out to their own staff because nobody on the outside was buying it. There was even talk of a website glitch last year that briefly laid bare just how much of the stuff was sitting unsold in a warehouse. And yet, we are told with a perfectly straight face that the candles sell out in minutes. Right, so somebody explain this one to me slowly, as if I were the simple one. Explain why a brand whose products supposedly vanish in minutes needs to bundle free matches onto candles that are already sitting there for sale.
We're also sick of your desperate bids to make money, including this latest email pleading for everyone to continue to buy Was Never products thanks to a 20% discount. This is not a life of service, Meghan. This is not changing the world. You're never gonna fly in this industry, so So maybe it is about time that you wake up.
No extra discount, no returns. If a thing is truly flying off the shelf, you do not staple a freebie to it and quietly hope it shifts. That is not the behavior of a label that cannot keep up with demand. That is the behavior of a cupboard that very badly needs clearing, dressed up in soft focus and a press release. You do not, as a rule, run a fire sale on a thing that is selling out. The two ideas cannot live in the same sense. A brand this leaky does not need a saboteur. It hands you the bucket and points at the hole itself, because every misstep here came from inside the house.
The official launch image for a $256 luxury candle bundle shows a burnt, used match sitting directly on top of a flammable cardboard matchbox. Yeah, not a fresh match. A used one, sitting on a box full of matches. In the promotional photograph they chose to lead with for a luxury premium product. Yeah, the comments on the IB Times UK piece have been running all weekend. The line that has stuck is this: the composition resembles a pothead's coffee table. Wow.
The Wickless candle, the tunneling wax, that spent match sitting on a flammable box in a photograph they chose to publish, and the very price she once stood up and called obnoxious. Nobody did any of this to her. She did it to herself, perched on a kitchen counter in crisp white linen, with the cameras rolling and a paid team nodding along. And that, for my money, is the part that should bother you most. This is not some hapless soul who tumbled into the deep end by accident. This is a former television professional, with staff, with money, with every single advantage a person could ask for, who keeps serving up amateur hour and calling it luxury. Full stop. Which brings us very neatly to her own words.
I have no sympathy. Yes, she should give up. She should give up because she sold the world a pup. None of us buy in to what she is selling. And also, she's just really goddamn terrible at it.
In her most recent proper sit-down for Harper's Bazaar, Meghan offered the room this little gem. The moment that you start making all of your personal decisions based on external judgment, she said, then you lose your authenticity. Read that one again, slowly. With a wickless candle resting in the palm of your hand, because here is a brand engineered top to toe for external judgment. Being looked at is the entire point of it. The staged kitchens, the linen the color of money, a candle named for a wedding, others for birthdays, another for the house. Every product is a little flag, planted in the ground to be photographed and admired by strangers.
So Meghan Markle, she is selling basic match boxes for approximately $222. You do get some of these candles though. So they come in a big candle set behind the candelabra, okay? She's marketing them as a limited edition item. And these are her candles that are inspired by her children. You know, she's using her kids' royal titles to sell these candles.
The whole enterprise lives or dies on what other people think of it. And the woman behind it is gently lecturing the rest of us about not living for the approval of others. I ask you, and it gets richer. This is the same interview in which it emerged that staff are said to announce her as the Duchess of Sussex before she walks into a room. So we are to be authentic and quite untroubled by judgment, while also being announced by title like a fanfare on the way through to the kitchen. Right you are. It is a familiar little tune too.
And we know that what Meghan's doing is not out of love, it's not out of some type of desire to create a community, it is out of financial need. As Harry, Meghan's spare put it, when you have to roll out a full promotional campaign for your newest product, and that product is a box of matches, you've officially reached the bottom of the barrel. Not perfume, not skincare, not fashion, matches.
In an earlier chat for Bloomberg, she explained that wearing nude tights as a working royal had felt, in her word, inauthentic. The tights, that apparently, was the bit that felt false. The 8-figure deals sat comfortably enough. So did naming a whole range of candles after her own children's birthdays. It was the hosiery, of all things, that finally crossed the line for her. You really could not invent it. So you can be authentic, or you can sell a $256 set of candles that, going by the post, may never light. Pulling off both at the very same time takes a brass neck of real quality. And whatever else you might say about our Meghan, short of a brass neck she has never once been. The matches, supposedly, are the finishing touch, the little luxury that completes the collection. So they say.
Meghan handed Harry an ultimatum about money, while the brand she's running is selling tunneling candles at $256 a bundle, and the household is reportedly burning through $3 to $6 million a year. So basically, the Montecito bank accounts are tunneling as well. So the way Shutter's source frames it, Meghan is the engine. She has always been the engine for deceit and, graft and all that stuff. And Harry is the obstacle. And for context, Harry reportedly sits on roughly $20 million from Diana's estate and a bequest from Queen Elizabeth, locked in a trust with a restriction around education and old age. I think that Meghan needs some.
So then Prince Harry, he goes over to the phone. Prince Harry, he picks up the phone. William, I've made a terrible mistake, my brother. I'm coming home. And then William has to inform him that they've given his room away to Camilla to put her clothes and her tiaras and her heels in there. So then Prince Harry, he packs everything in a bag. Prince Harry throws everything in a bag, and then he goes down the driveway of the Montecito mansion to get in a taxi cab, and he looks back dramatically like they do in the movies. And then he gets in the car and he flies back to London Heathrow. And then when he lands in London, he remembers he left two important things at the mansion, Archie and Lilibet. The end.
So here's where the whole thing lands. The matches do not fix the candle. They shine a light on it, which, let us be honest, is rather more than the candle has ever managed to do for itself. You cannot sell people the spark and then forget the one part that is meant to catch. Run it back one last time because it really is a thing of beauty. A wedding day scent for a chapel she reportedly wanted sprayed before she would set foot inside it. Then a 190-pound set with no returns if it turns up broken. And a grand pivot into selling matches from a brand whose candles, by several accounts, came with nothing inside them to burn. That is as ever in a single box. Beautifully photographed, expensively priced, and missing the one small part that does the actual job. The girl next door who once called a $100 candle obnoxious now wants 256 of your dollars. She will throw in the matches for free, and she would really rather you did not ask too many questions about the wick. Make of that what you will. We will see how this one ages. Now I want to hear from you and be honest about it. Would you hand over 190 pounds for these, matches and all? Or is this the exact moment the whole is ever thing finally lost you? Tell me down in the comments. I read every single one, and do hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who care about how these stories really end up. Subscribe while you are here because there is plenty more coming this week. The next one ships Friday, and we are going right inside the numbers on what the Montecito operation actually costs to keep running every single year. You will want to be here for that one.